Gorlitsky and I Got Legs have been very busy raising awareness about disabilities here in the Lowcountry and beyond. I speak exclusively to Adam for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook.
Adam Gorlitsky, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Hey Quintin, how's it going?
Going great. Obviously, you are the founder and the CEO of I Got Legs, and obviously it's a charity and lifestyle brand whose mission is to ReEnable athletes with physical challenges and support improvements to life-changing technology. And when I ran into you on Upper Meaty Street a couple of weeks ago when I came back from Lou's Barbecue, you talked to me about a couple of projects that you're working on right now. What's now?
Well, what's now is we are launched. So with this pandemic, now we were already heading in this direction before this pandemic, but with this pandemic, we're now launching our core program going forward. It's the I Got Legs virtual racing circuit. So what this is, it's a series of virtual races that take place. This year we're going to have 4. And so when I ran into you a couple weeks ago, we had just launched the registration for our Labor Day virtual race, which is the I Got Legs virtual 1 miler plus 10K. So, but no, it's a exciting program though. We are not only trying to get more exoskeleton athletes, because we're also spread out throughout the world.
Right.
So we are not only trying to get more exoskeleton athletes to participate within these road races through virtually, but we're also inviting other nonprofit or other disability related nonprofits into these virtual races to create their own fundraising teams like within the race. And raise funds for their health-related programs. So we're like becoming more of a platform for other disability-related nonprofits to come in and really start raising funds. So it's like kind of next level now. So
and that brings me to my next question: how do you sophisticate these virtual runs with your approach?
I'm sorry. Could you say it one more time?
Yes, sir. How do you sophisticate virtual runs with your approach?
Oh, well, I think it all starts with content creation. I think, one thing I've noticed with virtual races in general, not many people probably take them all that, I think a lot of people see them as like a step down from like an actual race. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's frowned upon, but like, it's just kind of not taken as seriously. So what I try to do with it, is trying to bring, as you said, a certain level of sophistication to it. So how do we do that? I think it's, by letting other nonprofits come in and raise funds for their health related programs. But I think what also we do is, through content creation. I really think we can really become like, a real great resource for raising awareness about these other organizations and really what we're also doing too as well through content creation. And I think that's how we ultimately bring a certain level of sophistication to it. I just think it's this like vehicle to really raise awareness about the disabled community as a whole. So I think I think it all starts with raising awareness, So I think I think we raise awareness a certain way, and then kind of becoming this fundraising platform. It's almost like a fitness version of like GoFundMe, if you really think about it, right?
Right.
So I think through those two elements, and there's probably a third one down the road that if I really thought about it more. But I think that's how we ultimately bring a certain level of sophistication to it.
And what are you thinking about now when it comes to the third thought?
I'm sorry. Could you say that one more time? I'm going to put my headphones.
Yeah, and what are you thinking about right now when you think of that third dot as far as helping with fundraising and all that and bringing awareness?
Yeah. Well, you know what? So with these virtual with this virtual racing circuit and the fitness version of GoFundMe. If like that's what it is. I think the point of view that I approach this from Now, what I'm about to say is like a big picture kind of idea. I think the way that I view this long term is like, what if health, like what if the ADA and health insurance just completely collapsed, like for the disabled community? What's like something that like could cushion that fall for like people with physical, who are disabled? And maybe it is something like this virtual racing circuit program, and this, through, helping these other nonprofits raise funds, and then helping other, helping other individuals fundraise for their particular items of like need. Could we really create this network kind of vibe, between all these, other organizations and these individuals that we're helping out? Can we create this like network type of thing that like could cushion that fall if like all hell broke loose and there was no more health insurance for like anybody, and the ADA completely collapsed? So I think that's my point of view long term for this. How that plays out on like a grand scale, I'm not quite sure. But what I am seeing though is like other bigger companies wanting to like partner like through like with our racing circuit program.
Wow.
I'm like now talking with like other insurance companies about like partnerships that like we could do. But it's all first step kind of, it's
Right.
not quite ready to go big time with like that, those kind of partnerships. But I think, that's what I'm seeing, how like long term, if like all that makes sense. I hope it did. It's like still in the beta testing. We're like still in the beta phase for this
Right.
thing. Right? So, it's all kind of big concept kind of stuff right now. So,
And what fundraising organizations would be ideal for your organization?
well, so with our labor, okay, so this is our third virtual race of the year, this Labor Day one, and so with the first one in April, we didn't have any. It was just for strictly I Got Legs. There was no, it was just to support our grant fund. We sold T-shirts through it, and it was great. But then July 4th, for our July 4th virtual race, we let the local wheelchair basketball team come in, and their goal was $1,000, and they ended up raising $7,600 for. I guess it would be next season. This season is obviously canceled.
Right.
But and then our Labor Day race, and I'm going to eventually answer your question here in a second. And then for our Labor Day race, we have one other local nonprofit that's created a team. That organization is called Beyond Basic, and they help adults with intellectual disabilities, to live and improve quality of life. So, I guess to answer your question, I think it's any organization that's that's built around like improving the quality of life of a certain subsect of the disabled community. I think anything that's really about health and fitness, but also improving the quality of life for that certain disabled subsect. Because with I Got Legs, we're very broad, like we're like a broad-based disability organization. Right. So I think to bring this down to like a political analogy, I kind of view us as like the executive branch of the disabled party. Kind of, we're just like the leadership component. Our job is to raise awareness and kind of be everybody's like main cheerleader, kind of like spokesperson, and just like ask everybody the right questions. That's kind of how I view I Got Legs, like on a grand scale.
And what is your goal for the grant fund?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, the grant fund. Well, so I guess in terms of like I Got Legs, so we're going to help out other organizations. But I guess like, for lack of a better way of putting this, like selfish goals for I Got Legs, I would like to start really driving forward all this technology in like a really big way. So I guess, our three goals with I Got Legs, I guess to really answer your question. One is to turn exoskeleton walking into more of like an official sport. Two is to create a better exoskeleton, which you could also then pivot onto like, I want to make better just overall products and like wheelchair related things, right? And then three is to really, our third goal is to create this network throughout, use our virtual racing circuit platform to create this network of other nonprofits that we help out through it, other disability related nonprofits, and really create a great network for people with physical challenges to like tap into for any kind of help. So I think those are the three goals. And we're executing on really all three of those goals now. It's just, it's just kind of a slower process than like what I would probably want, but I guess it's those three goals.
And what is the biggest difference between the first virtual run and this fourth one coming up, I believe?
Yeah, well, so this the one Labor Day is our third one. Now we're going to have one more in late November. So the main difference, I guess the whole maturation of these virtual races. The first one back in April, it was just for I Got Legs and like our general grant fund, and then our second one, July 4th, was more built around both like the I Got Legs grant fund, but also having this the local wheelchair basketball team come in and raise funds, and the second one is and then with this third one. We have Beyond Basic, who's the other nonprofit here in town, doing the same thing that the wheelchair basketball team was. But we also might have one or two other organizations, or probably one more from Greenville that's going to create a team. So it's just kind of like bringing more nonprofits into it, and just really creating like a great system that I can like not get burnt out on. And it's like a lot of management, right? So I need to like really kind of figure out exactly how to scale this on like a bigger scale.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll get there as well. You talk about obviously the quality of life. Let me ask you this: since the COVID-19 situation has taken place in this particular country in the world, how has that made things worse for you as far as challenges?
Now, when you say that, do you mean more of like on an individual level, like being in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
That's a good question. I think in many ways, I think my injury, and I actually made like a social media post about this like a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Or I kind of touched on it. In many ways, I think my injury is it's kind of helped me like prepare for this pandemic. In that social media post, I talked about, just kind of feeling isolated, right, and being lonely. I think what happens, when you become disabled, especially permanently disabled, you really do feel kind of alone sometimes, right? Like I'm the only, most places that I go, I'm the only person that's permanently disabled, right? I'm usually the only person in a wheelchair. So even when I'm surrounded by a lot of people, like I'm still on a certain level kind of feel lonely to like a certain respect. So I think, that's kind of prepared me for this pandemic, just to kind of be alone. I find myself feeling kind of lonely, but not feeling bad about that necessarily. So to answer your, but you asked about like the challenges though. I kind of spun it positive.
Oh, no worries.
I guess, look, and saying that though, there are some lonely times, but I think it's kind of the same though. I mean, I don't, it's still, I need to wear a mask like everywhere I go, or, try to, and, although I think when I saw you, I wasn't, but I was we were exercising.
You were exercising.
It's hard to wear.
Yeah, it is.
We were exercising. I think it's probably the same for everybody else. Like just being more socially distant, be more self-aware, like aware of people who might be sick or just whatever. But I think my injury has prepared me for some of the harder, lonely, emotional or mental health times with this pandemic. Yeah. Now I was gonna say I do see a lot of people on social media. I'm like, man, they're having a tough time right now. So yeah. I think
Yeah. And let me ask you a couple of simplistic questions here. And I know this might be a little tough one, but let me ask: how many athletes in Charleston right now that actually have like physical challenges that you know of?
Ooh, well, I think I don't know that exact number. I probably should. Now, the Roper Hospital Spinal Cord. So I'm a member of the Roper Hospital Spinal Cord Injury Center.
Yeah.
I believe they. I mean, this is like 4 or 5 years ago. I believe they had like over 1,000 members. Now, all those members were, from pretty much all around the state of South Carolina,
Right.
And that's just for spinal cord injury. People who are disabled, though, that's a good question. It's probably, okay, on a big picture scale of like U.S. citizens.
Oh yeah.
It's about 1 in every 5. I believe it's like 20% of America has some form of disability. So I would imagine that Charleston's probably similar. I would say it's probably between 10 and 15% of the population has some form of disability. So,
And how do you support improvements to life-changing technology?
Yeah. So right now it's mostly done through raising awareness, right? We don't have we don't have like the millions of dollars worth of funds to like really push it forward in like a huge financial way. So how we do that right now is mostly through raising awareness through this virtual racing circuit, and then leveraging the attention that we get from this program and just like the amount of people that participate within it, to then partner with technology partners. So those conversations are finally starting to like really happen in like a bigger way. I met this this one guy so through all this raising awareness that we're doing, I guess to answer your question on a real tangible level now. One of the things that's opened up, I met this guy in this really cool engineer in Austin, Texas.
Cool city.
This really, I'm sorry, what's up?
Yeah, good city. I love Austin.
Yeah. I've actually never been. I've always wanted to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think for the, this is subject to change, but I think we might be funding his this really cool prosthetic arm prototype, using our November race for that. I mean, that's like a huge project, but no, it's like a really cool prosthetic arm though. It's like really different from anything else that's like out there. And then using that same technology to possibly build a better exoskeleton. So that's like a real tangible thing that's like starting to really happen. So yeah, it's exciting. And I'm always, and like now I'm getting other people reaching out to me with like their own kind of projects.
Right.
So I think it's just, doing it the right way, not overextending ourselves too much right now. And and just really raising it. I think I'm word vomit here. I'm sorry, but I think our bread and butter really is raising awareness first. I think we need to ground everything that we do and like raise awareness in a certain kind of way, and then leveraging that to raise funds. So.
And you said this on Instagram that a Neuralink and exoskeleton combination could be the next steps towards curing paralysis. What steps are you taking locally
to cure paralysis?
Yes, sir.
So with this, so I guess it's probably not so much. I don't know to say that this is on a local level. I don't really view it. I kind of view us as just like a real like a national kind of organization that has no like local. I mean, obviously we're based in Charleston,
Right.
So for instance, I'm trying to think how to properly answer this. On a local level, I think we're getting people active first, with these virtual races. And then something like with that prosthetic arm prototype that I was telling you about in the last question. We could bring that here to Charleston theoretically, like to fund that prosthetic arm prototype, and then we have this exoskeleton that we're developing possibly with that same technology. and there's other, there's like bringing all of that Neuralink stuff, like all the stuff that like you just mentioned, to Charleston. I guess we could theoretically do that. It's going to take that's like millions of dollars, and that's like a lot of money. But I guess to answer your question, like I guess we could theoretically bring everything here to Charleston, which would be cool.
Cool. And that Neuralink Exoskeleton combination, with that, I mean, who would own your brain data?
That's a good question. Because I know what, so on social media, I do talk about this a good bit. I mean, not like the whole brain data thing, but my ultimate goal with the new exoskeleton, it really is to turn it from more Terminator-like to more Avatar. Right now it's I describe my exoskeleton, like a lower half of a Terminator suit. It's not something I would wear on like a first, second, or third date with a girl, but like a fourth or fifth. And what I mean by that is it's really made for wide open spaces. You need kind of a lot of a room. I mean, I've like worn it to like a bar or a restaurant. It's not, I mean, it's fine, but it's really made for bigger open spaces. It weighs about 60 pounds too. But I can't control with my mind though. So it's not like, it's not like how it is like with your hand, when you move your hand, it's like, so, so my vision for it is to turn it from Terminator to Avatar, so I could wear it on like a first, second, or third date, like with a girl. So the way to do that is either like through some kind of, exoskeleton Neuralink combination, that through brain power.
Right.
Which sounds kind of crazy, but like it's actually like, with Elon Musk, that's like one of his visions for it.
Right.
And there's also this non-invasive Neuralink type of technology. I think it's I'm trying to think the name of the company. It's called like E-Motive. I think is what it is. So that's like another thing, that this like headset kind of thing that you wear. But there's also a more tangible thing. If anybody wants to look it up, it's the epidural stimulator, which is actually, I don't know, I'm not sure how detailed you want to go into it, but
I was actually doing that research Wednesday night. I read on that. That's
epidural stimulator.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's incredible stuff. I mean, it's like in a way, it's kind of curing. It's kind of curing paralysis, like right now, sort of. So I guess okay. I can explain it real quick.
Take your time.
How much time do we have? Do we have
plenty of time?
All right. So this epidural is actually. So I would actually would prefer. So it's like the Neuralink kind of scares me. It's like a brain implant. It's like kind of freaks me out. But the epidural though, it's a spinal cord implant. So they implant like this little piece of nanotechnology into your spinal cord. They sew you back up. There's like this like stimulator. So there's like this transmitter thing that's also inside of you as well too. So it's like this nano strip of like, whatever stimulator, and has like a transmitter that like comes out from it. So they like sew that into you, like, that through certain, like surgically implant that. And then you have this like external device that looks like your cell phone almost,
right, that
you turn on. And when you turn it on, you can through your thought, like through your brain power, the brain signals, everything starts in your brain. You think about moving your leg, the brain signal travels through that nano strip of like technology that's implanted within your spinal cord, and you're able to move your legs. And but it's like a real slow limp though. It's nothing like, you're not like walking like normally. So my thought process is to combine that, because it's already like making people walk again, just a really slow limp. Combine that with its own exoskeleton that like speak to each other kind of. And I think that's the way to do it. I think that's, and I've actually talked to people about this,
right?
That have like, that actually manufacture some of the parts for the epidural stimulator. And they have told me that what I just told you is totally doable. But it's going to take someone like me who's a little bit crazy to kind of put it all together, and also be like the guinea pig of that as well too. So yeah, 2021 is going to be a really good year for us.
Oh, absolutely. And I know that you said that the whole brain implant freaks you out. Is the brain implant being currently used?
I just saw something on the Neuralink. I'm going to bring this up to just a brain implant in general, not just the Neuralink. This research facility in France, I can send you this article. It's a really cool article.
Okay.
It's a CNN story from I think it was last year. They took this quadriplegic. He was paralyzed, pretty much in like all four limbs. Put these brain implant sensors in his, in his skull, in his brain, and he was able to control his own exoskeleton with it. Now, it wasn't perfect. This exoskeleton was like I think it was attached to the ceiling still.
Wow.
It was incredible. It was like a big breakthrough because he was doing it through his own thought power.
Yeah.
Now that's a very primitive. It was stage 1 research trial. It wasn't, it's still like that. But Elon Musk though, I was reading that he wants to start to implant these Neuralinks in people. Like he wants to start with people with disabilities, so quadriplegics, people with Parkinson's disease. Those are like his first subjects that he wants to, test it on. And apparently that's going to start happening like by the end of this year, according to him. Now, knowing him, they'll probably be like sometime next year, but everything he says kind of like happens like 6 months later. But
sure.
But no, it seems like real science fiction, all the stuff that we're talking about, but it's like really like possible, and it's like kind of already, it's like pretty much happening. So, yeah.
And you talk about that thought process, and I hate to ask this question too, but it's it's organic, it happens. But how does this whole, I guess, even the exoskeleton, that new one, and even the brain implant, how does that control negative thoughts?
How does it control negative thoughts?
Yes, sir.
Interesting. It's a good question. I mean, because, oh man, I don't know. You kind of stumped me there, man. That's a good question. How does it control negative thoughts? I would imagine that it probably wouldn't. I think, Elon Musk, I mean, just with hearing him talk about the Neuralink, it's more used to like be more efficient, like with your mind. I think he even, I don't know if he like said this, but like the way that he describes it, it's like being on like Adderall or something, like you're like in the zone or something, like you're like just like way more efficient with like how you think. And like, so okay. So for instance, like, with this Neuralink, I think what he really ultimately wants, or like one of like the things that he wants to do with it is to install this Neuralink. And then it's like when you click open your phone to like scroll the internet, instead of typing into Google what you want to search, you just like think it, and then it types like, and then it just types for you, like within the search bar. Oh. So it's just like a more efficient, slightly more efficient way of like doing things. It's just like, and then like how that plays out on a grand scale, I'm not quite sure. So yeah.
I hate to ask this too, but would there be any sort of learning curves?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, well, it's, to bring it down to like the exoskeleton, what we talked about, like the brain powered exoskeleton.
Right.
So the epidural stimulator is, if you think about it, so the epidural stimulator in many ways is like a brain implant just in your spinal cord, kind of. So there is quite a big learning curve for that. After you get that epidural stimulator implanted in you, you do have to go through like a 3-month like brain mapping process, like for it. Like the epidural stimulator has like 5 or 6 channels to it. So like channel 1 is like Okay, so like for someone like me who's paralyzed from the belly button down, like channel 1 would be like your lower abs. Like you get, channel 2 is like your lower abs and your glutes. Channel 3 is those two previously plus your quads. So it's like when you turn all the channels on, you're able to then like start walking a little bit. So that process takes I think it's quite an extensive process to like learn how to learn to like, to like brain map your thoughts to those 5 or 4 or 5 different channels. So with the exoskeleton though, to combine the exoskeleton, I think you'd have to have your exoskeleton be on its own separate channel. Mm-hmm. I think it's, I'm like really excited about that project. It sounds crazy because it sounds like it's not real, but like, yeah, we're like in the beginning stages of like really starting to like put it all together. So.
And I know too, when I was searching through your Instagram stories, you talked about, and I went back and read it Wednesday night when I was just doing nothing. But exoskeletonreport.com reports that, quote, in a giant step for exoskeleton industry, ReWalk receives insurance code for ReWalk personal exoskeleton. And I hate to ask this simple question, but what is the insurance code? What's that process like?
Yeah, so this is a big deal, but it is a big deal, but it's kind of not. So it's a big deal in like the grand scale. So what this does, okay, so this makes the appeals process a lot more efficient. So what happens, or like before all this, and what's still going to happen going forward, you would apply, you would get approved for your exoskeleton, with a physical therapist, your spinal cord injury doctor. You would then submit the prescription for it to the insurance company. They would almost always deny it. Well, they like always deny the coverage on the first attempt. The manufacturer would then, they would do the appeal process for you, like, the second appeal, the third appeal process. And they would almost always, and then, the insurance company will always deny those, 2 or 3 appeals. So then what the manufacturer does is that they hire a lawyer to go to the courts to sue the insurance company, right? So a lot of times on a rare case by, so when I say that on a rare case by case basis, when these exoskeletons are covered by health insurance, it's usually through like suing the insurance company. After like you've tried to go through the 2 or 3 layers of like appeals process, right? So what ultimately this insurance claim, this insurance code does, it probably makes it easier to sue the insurance companies now. And sometimes like you probably won't even have to maybe sue them. Like it might actually get approved in like the second or third attempt. But it probably won't get approved. I mean, it's like still going to be on a very rare case by case basis. But it just kind of gives like a legal like point of like leverage to sue off of, if that makes sense.
I don't know. I'm looking at it from a how should I say this? From an ordinance type, standpoint, politically speaking, and I'm also looking at it from a grant writing standpoint as well. But how do you go in and fix that language so that you can get what you need on the first attempt?
Yeah, well, I think that's a good question. I actually addressed this in my last Instagram post, I think, or like 2 or 3 days ago. Okay. I think it's okay. So I think in order to get this approved by like on the first attempt, I think it has to be cheaper. I don't think it's going to be a very hard battle. Right now these exoskeletons cost $130,000+. So, getting that approved, they're all about getting, a wheelchair approved, because it's like a life or death need, right? Like if I don't have a wheelchair, I'm totally screwed. I'm going to die. If you really think about it, I'm not going to die. It's going to take a while, but I can still crawl and stuff, right? That's like a life need. So I think so what I'm ultimately trying to say to answer your question, we need to drive forward this technology in such a way, so turning it from more these exoskeletons to more Terminator-like avatar-like, so that they're cheaper, they're more streamlined, they're built on like thought power,
Right.
so that it actually does start to replace the wheelchair, because right now it's I'm still using my wheelchair 99.99% of the time, right? So I think in order to really do that, to get approved by healthcare, you do have to make it more avatar-like and bring down the cost quite a good bit. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a great first step. I mean, getting approved by so long term, having this insurance code be like a point of leverage to what you said, to like refine that language,
Right.
write grants off of. It's a great point of leverage to like do that going forward. But it's going to take a lot of partners, and it's a long process though. That's a good question though.
Oh, thank you so much, and hopefully it's.
You ask good questions, man. I'm very proud. You really, anybody listening, like that's listening to this, like this guy, dude, you're really great questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Really, really do appreciate it. And I'm sure this conversation will continue as well with the exoskeleton and obviously the insurance codes as well.
I will say your questions do make me think, and it does make me a better executive director, all the stuff I'm doing. So honestly, man, I really seriously, anybody that's listening, you gotta, this guy's good.
Thank you.
He really is.
Well, I'm happy to help you out.
Yeah, man, totally. Seriously.
Yes, I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, Adam Gorlitsky, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm hopefully I'll be seeing you more often, on the side of the road. I got my hand bike, and
yes. Yeah,
man, it was good seeing you. And our Labor Day weekend race, the I Got Legs virtual 1 miler plus 10K. There's the 1 mile option, and then there's the 10K option. So, so you kind of get the really hard, the really easy version with the 1 mile. Then if you want to go big, you can sign up for that 10K.
And how do I sign up for the 10K?
So if you go to igotlegs.org, there's a place to register. It'll say the virtual 1 miler plus 10K.
Okay.
Right on the homepage. So
cool.
igotlegs.org.
Okay, and I'll mention that in the YouTube link as well.
Yeah, cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you again for your time.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.